The island of Natuna, a former Dutch colony, declared its independence shortly after the withdrawal of Dutch forces from the northern Riau Islands in December 1935. The island is of great strategic value due to its size and central location in the South China Sea. Many foreign powers would greatly increase their trading and naval power in Southeast Asia by controlling the island. On February 1st, only weeks after its declaration of independence, colonial troops stationed in French Indochina wrongfully occupied the independent state, increasing tensions between various colonial powers in the area. The United States of America sees the French occupation of Natuna and its nearby archipelago as a threat to its own colony in the area, the Philippines. Despite diplomatic talks, France refuses to withdraw its forces from Natuna since a war with the United States would be limited to Southeast Asia and not affect mainland France. 1 month after French colonial forces occupy Natuna, the United States of America declare a limited war on France in order to quell French expansion in the area. The US government recognizes the opportunity to occupy French Indochina as well, allowing them to border and combat the current communist insurgency in China. The United States Marine Corps are about to launch a marine assault on French colonial forces occupying the island of Natuna. US intel suggests that a battalion of French colonial infantry are garrisoned on the island. The occupying force began fortifying the island only days after their arrival and are well prepared against a foreign invasion. Able Company Colonial Battalion must first secure a beachhead before they can land additional reinforcements. This task will not be an easy one. The first battle of the French-American War of Colonial Aggression is about to begin. Alright guys, welcome back to Men of War Assault Squad 2. My name is Diplex. It is awesome to be back after a very long break. I hope you guys have been doing alright. Let me know in the comment section down below what you've been doing this summer. I'm excited to read about your adventures and experiences. But here we are, back in Men of War Assault Squad 2 with a brand new original series. I hope you guys enjoyed the intro. It took me a while to make. Please leave a like and a comment if you want to see more of these. I have several more parts scheduled, but let's get right into the action. US Marines are now landing on the Natuna Island here, and the French defenses are responding. Here we go. Oh, big impact there by a mortar round. And it doesn't look like the other troops are doing all too well here. They're starting to spread out. The first wave has landed. 2 platoons have now set foot on the island, and they're not doing very well. It looks like a machine gun crew was targeted by some French fire. The co-gunner is going to die, but the main gunner is going to deploy the piece and open fire. French mortars still shelling the beach. Oh, this is disastrous. So, a colonial battalion, or the colonial battalion, currently the only colonial battalion part of the United States Marine Corps, stationed in the Philippines, they are responsible for this attack. Now, there's 7 platoons per company, which makes it a sort of a special layout. Usually, there's only around 3 or 4 platoons per company, depending on the nation. But this colonial battalion has a slightly different layout. The 7 platoons per company are then multiplied by 5, as there are 5 companies per battalion. And in this case, there's only 1 colonial battalion so far. We'll see what the US Navy decides to do here, together with the United States Marine Corps, depending on how this conflict escalates. Okay, it looks like the second wave is on their way in right now. By the way, all these units are custom made, and in each video, I hope to be able to sort of showcase a unit at a time. So in this video, we're focusing on the United States Marine Corps and their sort of uniform and their weaponry and their overall look here. in this 1936 era. So do keep in mind that this is a fictional scenario. I do think everyone already knows that, which allows us so much more freedom and room to kind of explore and experiment with all these different units and events. And I'm honestly really excited to see where this series is gonna go. The battle you're currently watching will dictate the future of the series, and of course the outcome will dictate the outcome of this series and this battle, and I'm just super excited to see it progress. The second wave has been landed now, another 60 men, so 4 out of the 7 platoons have landed. And these guys are making more progress now. They're starting to move up the beach. They need to try and establish a beachhead here so that we can land more reinforcements. Right now we've got a lot of French mortars and machine guns focusing down on the invading US Marines here. Let's have a quick look at some of the French positions and the units. In the upcoming video, I will try and focus more on the French so that we don't focus entirely on one nation throughout the series. I want to give both sides the same amount of attention. And I think many of you out there are excited to see what the French are cooking, so to speak. We have some really interesting positions up here. Nice high ground overlooking the beach. The 5th platoon is making their way to the beach now. This is sort of the primary platoon, the first platoon out of the 7, and it's being landed as the 5th boat. This platoon contains the company commander, which is a captain. So he's being landed here. There's also 2 more platoons acting as reserves. They will be landed later on. We can actually see the captain in action over here. He's got his binoculars. And he's a ballsy man. Definitely not afraid to take the fight to the enemy. He's up here with his men. And there are still mortars landing close. Some shrapnel killed almost a whole squad of US infantry there. But the fight continues. How are the French positions doing further inland? French mortars still shelling the US Marines attacking up the beach now. The battle is far from over. We have a sort of a temporary French headquarters set up here, just about 100 meters away from the beach itself, where they have established, well, this is where they do most of their artillery spotting from. We also have a howitzer deployed here. I don't believe there are any tanks on the island, but the French battalion that invaded the island brought with them artillery and other support weapons, so they came quite prepared for a potential counter-invasion. Okay, the last 2 platoons, part of Able Company, have now landed, and the infantry will be sent further in now. So these guys will be directed closer to the French positions. Are quieting down for a while now as the first line of French defenses have been neutralized, but we see so many casualties everywhere. There's just blood in the sand, weapons everywhere, and dead Americans and French everywhere you look. It'll be interesting to see what kind of casualties we're looking at later on. With the last 2 platoons acting as reserves, they've also received some additional mortar support. So 2 US mortars have been deployed now to help counter the French artillery further inland. So So this is a really nice addition to this last wave. And they're firing for full effect. Some additional French reinforcements arriving from one of the bunkers below here. Oh, that was a beautiful mortar hit right in the center pit here, and that neutralized one of the French mortar pieces. There's, wow, more rounds landing, but the howitzer is still active. French company commander back here. Still spotting for the artillery. And a second mortar to the right of the FOB, which is sort of the forward observation post over here. Forward observing base, or forward operating base. That is what it is. There's a bunch of different abbreviations for various military positions. This mortar is still firing. We're gonna go back to the American infantry. And they're just scattered out throughout the jungle, taking cover here behind fallen trees and former French positions. It's awesome. So the kind of weaponry that we're expecting from the United States Marine Corps here is currently the Springfield rifle, a bolt-action rifle. We've also got a few fortunate squad leaders with the 1928 Thompson submachine gun. And the primary support weapon here is a 30 caliber machine gun. That is what we're looking at, a Browning 30 cal. You're all familiar with the weapons. So I might as well spoil it right now. For each faction part of this series, there are 3 different unit types. The regular colonial infantry, Marines, of course, seeing as the Marines play a crucial role in colonial fighting, and a more elite unit. There are currently 4 factions in this series, but the first 2 that I'm previewing for you are the Americans and French. And it'll be interesting to see how the other 2 play a role in this war later on, or perhaps future wars occurring side by side with other wars. So that would be really interesting. This howitzer is still firing, but it looks like the last French soldier is about to go down. He's still crewing his gun here, bravely making a last stand. That French mortar is still active as well, so they're going to be shelling the Americans attacking now. But it does indeed look like the French manpower here by the beach has been decimated to about 0. It's only a matter of seconds now before a few skilled American marksmen manage to hit their shots here, taking out the last 2 crewmen here, manning a mortar and a howitzer. This is a 76mm gun. It's nice. It's beautiful, actually. And he's down. For the sake of it, we'll take the last French soldier. We'll have him abandon his gun, and he'll run back to other French positions further inlands towards the center of the island. Thank you guys for watching the first episode. The US Marines did secure the beachhead, and the other 4 companies part of the Colonial Battalion can now land and prepare for the next attack, which will occur further inlands, where the French troops and the other remaining companies, part of the French battalion that landed here, will have prepared some pretty severe defenses. It's going to be a very, very bloody battle. But this is it, my friends. Let's take a look at casualties. We're going to mark the US Marines in red and the French defenders in yellow. And we can tell already that the The 7 platoons have suffered greatly from this attack. I think the entirety of Able Company needs to be disbanded. But luckily we have Baker, Charlie, and so on. Dog and Echo. That would be the other 4 companies. So the battalion totals about a total of 1,100 men. 5 companies, 7 platoons per company, 220 men, approximately. So it's a nice fighting force. We can see a lot of the French casualties here. They were nowhere near as many as the Americans. I don't think a company defended this part of the beach. I think a platoon was stationed here, depending on, well, judging by the actual casualties that we can see here on the ground. So it doesn't look like more than a platoon or 2 perhaps defended this area. But the Americans are going to head in and raise the American flag, and this is considered a great American victory, but a costly one. So thank you for watching part 1, and I will see you guys in part 2. Stay tuned. Bye.